You can pause recording.
It's already recording.
It is now. Happy New Year. It is Friday, January the 10th. This is the 76th Kwaai Day. Myra, keep us honest here. Is this really 76 Kwaai Day weekly pub?
It is. I missed the last two.
Yeah. Look, people are rolling in back from the holidays. There've been travel disruptions. There've been fire disruptions, and we'll touch on that. Let me just make some opening remarks. Gosh, Los Angeles is faced is in the cauldron. Hopefully, we've come out of it. Two neighborhoods that we know well have been really devastated. The area on the hillside above Pasadena, it's called Altadena. It's a lovely neighborhood. And I used to go mountain biking up there on the trail up to Mountain Wilson. A lot of that has been incinerated, and then the homes across the street from the PCH, from where Gladstone's is, from when Sunset Boulevard comes down to the coast, all of those mansions over there. We've lost maybe 1,000 homes in that area. Just horrible. I got messages from folks as I was sending outbound messages for the summit and so on. I got some replies saying, "Hey, I can't think of that now. I just lost my home." And some people came back from CES. They've been in Vegas. They came back and found they had no home. So it's just horrible. And, we got one or two people on the call that are right in the middle of it. Ira, I know you're in the Hollywood Hills, and it was touch and go for a while there for you. So our thoughts, our concerns go out to you and all of the people in harm's way. Ruth and I didn't suffer at all. We did evacuate to the college, but that was because the power went out in our neighborhood. It was a safety shutoff that the electricity company made in order to prevent a fire. The winds were very high the other night, and there was and on the night when the fire took all those homes, the winds were so high they had to ground the air support that they had for the fire. So all the firefighting was done on the ground. Just horrible. I don't know what lessons we're going to learn from it. Gosh, the disinformation spread much faster than the truth that comes later on and gets less air coverage. But it's also horrible to see that the first voices are people that opportunistically want to politicize the issue and make partisan jabs. But look, we are here. We're at Kwaai. Kwaai is a movement to steer artificial intelligence along a more aligned path, a path that's aligned with humanity and human values. So we're doing that in very practical ways. We're building personal AI that is an agent for individuals, for us. It's our advocate. Imagine an AI that'll make you a better you. That is informed by all of your personal data. Clearly, that's not data that you want to upload to some corporation's cloud. That's whose motive is to extract value from you. No, imagine AI that's truly uplifting for individuals. That'll be in concert uplifting for humanity. And so that's what we're pursuing at Kwaai. The movement has now exceeded 700 volunteers. These are AI critical thinkers that 80% of them are developers. The rest are split between research and policy. And we're doing practical things. Now more than ever, you can't rely on government to save you from the excesses of corporations. There's no cavalry coming. You are the cavalry. So welcome to Kwaai Day. And I'm going to introduce, well, first of all, Myra, tell us what's on the agenda for today.
Okay, so today we do have Faisal Mushtaq as our guest speaker. Thank you for those intro notes, Riza. After that, after Faisal's talk, we'll have a Q&A, and then we'll move on to work group updates. I believe we have some stuff we want to share about the summit. And then maybe we'll hear from the PiOS update work group and maybe from Med, depending on timing. And then we'll move on to member voices, which is...
Feel free to share the agenda slide so everyone can have a...
absolutely. Have you made me...
I've made the changes. Do you need to be...
I don't know. Let me try.
Yeah, there we go. Talk us through that. Let's see if we can... You've been digging into who Faisal is. See the next slide.
All right. So we do have some background info. I think the one that stands out the most is how much of an angel investor Faisal has been in so many industries. And then, of course, the TechCon SoCal, which I believe Faisal has been doing for quite a few years, and it's coming up pretty soon in the next week as well, right, Reza? I believe you're a speaker.
Right.
I saw a lot of great speakers. You know, it should be a really good conference. One of the fun pictures I found was with Faisal and Eunice. So you mentioned how you were introduced as well to Faisal is through Eunice and Arcus Nexus. So
fantastic. Okay, well, let's not wait any longer. Let's introduce Faisal. Faisal, feel free to unmute and tell us about yourself. Yeah, off you go.
Yeah. First of all, good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Riza, thank you for inviting me, and great to meet the Kwaai family. My name is Faisal Mushtaq. I'm a San Diego resident, and we're gonna tell you a little bit about myself and then TechCon. So my background is, first of all, I've been a CXO in both startups and public companies. Most recently, I was CTO of Sleep Number Corporation. It's a $2 billion smart bed manufacturer based in Minneapolis. I was leading the global R&D, and AI was a very big part of it, where in the last 5 years we use AI to the sensors in the bed to which track your heart rate, respiration, heart rate variability to create models that can identify, insomnia, apnea. But apart from that, we can also detect COVID and other symptoms through that. So, and all our published papers and the product should be launched soon. So I was there for 5 years, mostly working out of Bay Area. So I'm consider myself a full California resident because I spent first half of my life in Bay Area and then for the last 14 years in San Diego. But I spend most time in Bay Area also, so flying up and down. Been in multiple startups also, 3 to say for exact, and then also was in Cisco for 10 years, a long time back. Apart from that, I'm an angel investor, as I think Maria was alluding to. For last 7 years, I'm part of groups. We try to, look at the next set of entrepreneurship and innovations that are coming from those 3 guys in a room with no windows and a garage. Like those are where the big things happen. I've been part of it for that also for 2 times. So I realized the chemistry and the benefit that a small team of focused, passionate people can bring about. So this gives me an opportunity to see what's coming down the road, 3, 5, 7 years down the road, and be a small part of it, right? So I think that's where the angel investing comes in, and do both in SoCal and Northern California. The third aspect of my life is kind of a give back, which I think Raza, you started with Kwaai also, is the TechCon. 5 years ago, I realized that we need to create a forum, which I call a thought leadership forum. And we started with TechCon SoCal to bring the best speakers across the country once a year to talk about it. So, so let me go a little bit about TechCon. So first of all, it's next Friday and Saturday, January 17th and 18th. It will be in San Diego. We are partnering with San Diego State University, so it will be held on campus there. The website is techconsocal.com. You can check out the details. Raza has graciously agreed. I think he's one of the panelists and speaking on the AI panel there. So the question would be why TechCon and what TechCon is. So let me quickly tell you. So being an entrepreneur, right, you look for solution. So you look for, and then you find there's nothing around it, and then say, okay, let me make one. So that's how the TechCon started. So I said, okay, this ideally, what conference, I've been just like you for last 20 years, I've been going to conferences. And what I noticed was there are two sides of the spectrum. Either they are too small, but very niche and high class speakers. Like I've been to last conference I went to was in Santa Monica, and there were who's who of investment landscape, the investors and CEOs of multi-billion dollar company, but there were 200 guys in the room. And I noticed that it was not accessible to public. Like people cannot go and experience and listen. So that's one category. And the other category is the bigger forum like CES and Health and Money 2020. There are really big. And then again, the issue is that the bigger companies have a bigger say there. Like, you'll see the biggest booths are the bigger, Fortune 500 companies and all. And it's too big. And, what I felt was there need to be something in the middle, a more personal conference where you get to build deeper relationships rather than many relationships. Like superficially, you can meet hundreds of people, but if you can make 5 good connections that can help you with you, whatever you're doing, are you starting a company, you're investing. So that's how this started. The second thing is that it's a multi-track conference. So there are a lot of conferences that are AI or health, and you can go as deep as possible. But our thesis is that the technology landscape is intertwined right now. AI is used everywhere, and data is used everywhere. And so how do you think about a cross-functional conference where you have different tracks so that you can listen to AI, but you can also listen to digital health and life sciences, and you can listen to fintech in the same forum. And so I think that's what one of the difference factor of TechCon is. Yeah, we typically do 6 to 9 tracks. So this time we have 9 tracks, and they are listed on the website. You can check it out. So you can go and zoom in on one track. Like we have an investment landscape. We have 45 top investors coming from Bay Area, LA, and rest of the country. If you're interested in the investment landscape, early stage, late stage, you can just zoom in into that. But if you want to be broad, you can attend few sessions on investment, then you can go digital health and think about the top innovation from bigger players like Philips and GE Healthcare, and then go to smaller startups, what they are doing. So it gives you a very breadth of perspective that I think that we were trying to do. The third difference of TechCon is the quality of speakers. So all the speakers that we have are curated. They were invited. They were, sought after. There are CEOs of multi-billion-dollar companies as well as CEOs of startups that are bringing the next great things. They are partners at venture funds from like 50 million to $6 billion. So really well worth, top-notch investors across the country as much as we can attract based on the logistics, because January there is a CES and JP Morgan and lots going on. So trying to make sure that we, avoiding those conflicts. So bringing top-notch speakers. And then the biggest part, I think that I'm very proud of, is that after doing all that, we wanted it to benefit the community. So what we did was we partnered with organizations like San Diego State. We offered, really discounted tickets for students so that they can attend, early stage entrepreneurs and all that. So I've seen tickets of conferences at $2,000, and I say, I wish I can go. I wanted to hear these 3 great guys, but I can't afford it, right? If I'm a student, if I'm an early stage entrepreneur. So we kept it in a point that it's affordable. It's not, but you can still be part of the same place where you all these top-notch executives are coming in. So you get exposed to it. So it's more about a broader mission that we have created with TechCon, and this is our 4th installment. COVID didn't help. I mean, as many other, so we could have done it. This might be our 6th if COVID was not there. But I think this would have been this is very proud of that. You can go to techconsocircle.com. You can see the kind of speakers. We just published the agenda. You can see the kind of panels. I mean, the topics, the speakers, and it's a very well brought out topic over 2 days. And you can decide what you want to attend, and then the kind of companies that are presenting there. And yeah, so I mean, that's a kind of my 5-minute pitch on TechCon SoCal. More than happy to answer any questions or any area that you want to, go deeper into.
Fantastic. Myra, your hand's up.
Yeah. So have you thought about maybe having a virtual option for people who want to attend?
Yeah, that's a great question, Maria. So I think that's something we thought about it, but I felt like, one of the biggest goal of this is building relationships. So like the last conference I have, I can tell you the name of the companies that got funded. We don't guarantee anything. but I can tell you the name of the company that got funded, the people who got jobs. And that's what we're trying to do. Virtual becomes more about like, but what we do, I mean, that's a great point. We want people to come and attend, but every session that we do is recorded, then it's curated, and then it's available. If you go to techcontv.com, hundreds of sessions from last conferences are available. You can watch. If you just want to learn, you can go and watch. And thousands of people have watched it. It's free. It's not like, we don't charge anything. But for the conference, we want in person because that's where the relationship and chemistry happens. So it's for information part, it can happen post-conference. Every content we release for free for the rest of the world to benefit.
That's great, because then I'll make sure, because not everyone's in that part of the.
Yeah. But we have, if you see the kind of speakers, and next time we'll have on a map the dot we are coming from. We have people from Cincinnati, we're from, Austin, New York, Boston, Denver, San Jose, LA. So I think there are 17 cities that people are coming from. So.
Faisal, tell me about your investment themes that you're currently investing in.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Radha. So as Maria mentioned, I think it's being an angel investor, you are in an early stage, you write early, smaller checks. So I follow 3 steps. I think the number one I do as part of a group. So I'm part of New Fund. It's a very well-established angel group in San Diego. Used to be part of Tech Coast Angels, but we split off and we are independent angel group. We do around 17 to 20 investments a year. So that's one part. The second is, and then I'm part of Interlock. That's also a very active group, really good investment. They invest mostly in SoCal companies, and many of our company portfolio are speaking at the conference. And then I'm part of a couple of angel groups. So the thesis behind that is that given this busy schedule that we all have, the amount of diligence required, there are 2 kinds of writing. One, you write with your gut, or you are a rich uncle and you just or second is more quantitative, you do analysis, right? For that you need time, you need data, you need and given I need somebody to do all that, and then once I have the data, I can read it and make my own judgment. So that helps with that because they have a team of diligence committee that does the call the customers, I don't have the bandwidth to do that, right? And they do all that and they give me the report. And then I can make my judgment. So judgment comes on top of data in my logic, right? So you have to have a data and then you use your judgment always. So that's one part. The second part is the deal flow. If you're not part of an structured organization, right, then you get deals when you're like going and eating, Starbucks coffee and a random person bump into you. But this is more structured, that there's a process and then the quality of deal that happens. And as far as where should invest, I mean, obviously AI is the hottest area, but unfortunately the valuations are scary. So for an early stage investor, I think you have to go with the, irrespective of what inherent technology it uses, I think what problem it's solving, is the product market fit, the team, 3 or 4 elements that you always look at and make a judgment on those. So I don't invest only on one area, like, there are people who just say I'm doing AI investing, which is fine, it's doing really well. But when you're an early stage investor and the valuations are where it is, I mean, there'll be 2 successes and 7,500 failures. So you should be open to that. I mean, as an angel investor, you should try to invest in at least, I think there's a very nice book, like 100 investments over a period of like X number of years. I mean, I'm following that to make sure that, you'll need 2 or 3 successes. Rest will all be moderate failures, or, we won't say failures, but learnings. I think that would be the right word. Like, we'll learn from that, So a lot of learning, but there will be few successes here. So the logic is work with the people that are smarter than you. Always use your judgment. Don't, every decision I make, I use my judgment based on the data that's provided to me by smarter people than me. So.
And this community broke off from Tech Coast Angels. Remind us, what is it? What is your investment community called?
It's called New Fund, NUFUND. So you can go to newfund.com. We have around 410 LPs in that group.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, that's interesting. And then the deal flow comes from, how does the deal flow?
Yeah, so there are 3 channels for that. One is the website, obviously. We have been around for 15 years. Even before New Fund, we were Tech Coast Angels, so they were the channel established. We have sister partners like Bay Area Angels and other angels that do co-sourcing of deals. And the third one is, given you have 400 plus really successful LPs, so there is a deal flow through that. But no matter what, even if I bring a deal, it goes through the pipeline, and we have a unbiased committee that kind of does it and make sure the fairness is applied.
Okay, well, that sounds really interesting. I'd like to introduce to you the notion that Kwaai is a source of deal flow. Kwaai is a developer community of critical thinkers. We're 700 strong. We're developing open source software, but ideas emerge from it, and those will become companies. There's more deal flow than we can handle through our investment vehicle. Validation is done through a process of hackathons first. And so the first hackathon, well, we started off a hackathon program a year and a half ago, but it really didn't take off well. I think the first one that's going to show results is going to be the one that launches in February. But that means a kind of a gamified way of getting all of these potential candidate startups going through a process and being filtered, and then you do the due diligence on after that. And so it's a two-stage funnel, and then you can decide where to invest. We'd love your new fund to view Kwaai as a source of deals, and we need to figure out maybe how to formalize that to make sure that there's the sort of innovative zeal that we observe within Kwaai needs to have some way of being funded and realized. We are preparing for our summit. It's in Pasadena. It's the SoCal Linux Expo. For the last year, we programmed its AI track. SoCal Linux Expo never had any AI, so Kwaai programmed its AI track. We're doing the same this year. It's March 6th through 9. I know it overlaps with South by Southwest a little bit, but March 6th through 9 is when we are running our Kwaai Personal AI Summit. And we'd love to invite you, Faisal, to come and participate. It's now expanded from what it was before. Last year, it was just a symposium. Now it's a workshop on the software we've developed. It is a symposium with celebrity and valuable keynote speakers. It's a networking mixer. It's an investor mixer as well. And it's a hackathon. And the hackathon culminates in at the conference in the judging and award ceremony. So we'd love to invite you. Maybe you're a judge at the hackathon, or maybe well, you can participate in any of those sessions within the conference. So looking forward to that.
I think just first of all, I think thank you for the invitation. We'd love to be part of it and help in any way, Reza. So that's given. Please sign me up. The second part you mentioned about new funds. So right now we are doing investment a little bit, not in the seed stage, but we're just launching a seed stage fund. So that might be a better synergy. So I think when we meet at TechCon next week, I think we can discuss, and I'll make the introduction so that that channel is established. Last but not least, if anyone from Kwaai community is interested in attending TechCon, I'll send a discount code to Reza. I will, my recommendation is do it today, because I'm just being transparent. From tomorrow morning, it will the last minute pricing, and that will become a little bit unaffordable. So you have 24 hours. I'll send the code. If you're interested, you check it out. It makes sense. Please take the advantage. If not, let me know. That's it.
Great. Ruth and I are driving down on Thursday, and we look forward to connecting with our friends down in San Diego. I see Eunice is on the is on the call. Eunice, why don't you unmute and come on camera and
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I'm joining the crowd and definitely attending the event next Friday and Saturday. I did sign up, and I've met Faisal. I know him personally. Wonderful man, very supportive. Can't be more proud of his contributions.
Eunice, you're recovering from a cold, I know, so we sparing
Still.
everyone and not going on camera. But I hope you're going to be better by the time we get down there. Look forward to spending time with you. So the role of TechCon, and I see lots of similar sized conferences. We've got DataCon LA that was an early supporter of Kwaai. I think we actually launched Kwaai at DataCon LA 2 years ago. We see I love conferences of that size because it's very accessible. You can go there and you can meet with a lot of people. CES I did not attend this year because you just can't you can't access it, you can't consume it. It's too spread out, and there are too many people, and you just end up with this angst of not being able to do anything. So well done, Faisal, for spotting that niche in the space. Similarly, South by Southwest is a huge zoo. I love conferences of this size, and we get stuff done. You can meet people, you can form relationships, you get deals done, and that's way more productive. You get way more bang for your buck, and the time that you spend. So that's great. Let's talk about the investment themes. I've been railing on at how many investors are steering their portfolio towards the red ocean of enterprise AI, and the neglected opportunity of personal AI is still something that's sort of underfunded. And is it because LPs just follow the herd, follow the lemmings in whatever direction they're going? Or are there LPs that actually have a vision and invest with purpose rather than just investing to make a profit, view capital as a means to an end, not an end in itself? So there's a loaded question there, Faisal. I wonder if you can unpack that.
Yeah, I think so. There are two parts of it. First is a lot of the entrepreneurs these days they have started viewing fundraising as the end, right? Like as you mentioned, right? Like, and they are very proud that I raised $5 million, for example, right? And that seems like a big milestone. To me, that's just a baby's first step. When you sell your company or you create like a product that benefit millions, there's a multi-sided equation. First is whatever you're doing has to benefit someone, consumer or end user or another business. So first, that has to be rock solid. So that means you achieve your goal. Second is that you have stakeholders in your company, which are the investors. So when you do an exit of whatever shape and form, like whether it's acquired, whether it's went public, which is much rarer than being acquired. So that to me is the goal. So I think that status symbol that has become. So what has happened is it increased the valuation also, that people feel proud. I should raise 10, I should raise 20. And the question would be, you should raise how much, as much as you need, plus making sure that you have a clear plan that, when you run out and what those are the milestones are, and you're raising the why part of it, that I'm raising because that's my next milestone in the road, and that's my next checkpoint in my journey. So I think that has changed a lot, and it has become a lot more about, and same thing on the investor side. I've seen investors, especially in the AI, I mean, given Kwai's focus on AI, a lot of investors are being proud of being part of these humongous rounds. Nothing against it. I'm not against any of that. But the point is that you lose then the important part. The important part is you still have to build a company. You still have to create a product that will create, you have to create a business that generates revenue. And at the end, you have to exit it. That's the journey. Fundraising is just you're putting fuel in the car. Like you go into a gas station and you put fuel in the car and you say, oh, I filled the whole tank. I feel so proud of it. No, where are you going? How much you have to drive?
Where are you
all those
going?
yeah, all those things have to be decided, and that's where the focus of the entrepreneur should be. But obviously, when you're driving, you need fuel. That's money that you need to inject into your. Otherwise, you'll be standing on a highway somewhere, and that's not a good sign.
Okay.
So that's
so as a community that we've pulled together, a community of activists are very passionate, who've got a notion that we are the revolutionary subversives that are trying to steer AI in a direction. The sort of disdain that we may have within of the financial community and the investment community is something that we have to challenge and confront, because we actually have to use the tools of capital in order to achieve our goals. We can't just be this pathetic charity going cap in hand asking for donations. No, we have to be active and participate in the investment ecosystem in order to achieve our goals. Help us wrestle with that dilemma.
Yeah, so I think I will. That's a. I mean, again, I'll give you my perspective. It's a problem that I mean, everyone might have a different perspective. So, I'm of the opinion that to create great things, you need money, right? I mean, that just to scale, to I mean, even if you're running GPUs, who's paying for it? I mean, if even AWS, or you have your own NVIDIA rack of GPUs, there's electricity cost, there's a running cost. So there's a cost of doing things, right? So it's just an unfortunate fact of life. They really create great things. Now, there should be a mission, like, do no evil kind of a mission, which eventually changes when the companies become big, but there should be a mission that why we're doing this thing, like what is, what are we trying to create? And then investors, I mean, again, it's a very general statement, but investors are mostly capitalist. I mean, so they give in money, they want money in back. That's the language that in financial industry understands, and that's the language. So when you coding, you go in Python, you do in TensorFlow, you use different on need basis. Like when you need to solve a problem, you use that language, right? The best possible solution out there, like a tool. And that's what you should do. Like every language, when you're having a discourse with a segment of your ecosystem, you need to use the same language, right? So there will be very few investors that will give investments for, I mean, there's just, philanthropy, but that, again, to create really sustainable things, like OpenAI is an example, but then obviously there is a change that happens later on, right? Whether it's Google or OpenAI. So as long as that can be regulated, that the values, the goodness that you're trying to create, but there is a need for capital, and there's a need of money in and X in and 5X out or 10X out. So that balancing has to be done. Then you can really create a bigger impact. But making sure that the values are intertwined in the companies, in the ecosystem, so that guidelines, the boundary conditions are not violated ever, right? So if you want to create goodness, if you want to give back, that part is there. So that will give back at scale. What I'm saying is, like, the things you'll create will be used by not by 200 people, by 200 million people.
So Faisal, what we're inspired by is we're inspired by Linux.
Yes.
The way that
Yes.
Linux took on the server operating system space, which was in a stalemate. It was controlled by a half a dozen corporations in the 80s, and we could make no progress. And along comes Linux, open source, non-profit, volunteer movement, and now Linux is the dominant operating system, and the world, the industry and the economy is better off for it. And there's trillions of dollars of for-profit entities built on top of Linux.
Yeah.
So we fancy ourselves as the Linux of AI, maybe the Linux of personal AI. The next step would be to be deliberate about seeding the investments into that for-profit ecosystem, the next Red Hat, the next Debian, Ubuntu, and so on, and the other companies that would be built on top of an open source foundation.
I think so. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, rather. Like Linux might be the best example. There is the values of Linux, I will say, since I was a child, I mean, many years ago, but that has still remained the same. But there's a lot of for-profit bubbles around it that created value, that created, right, Red Hat or Ubuntu or Mirantis, and so that model works well. because that I think, and but the value of the control or what the mission, that is in the bigger bubble. So I think if that can be done, like the bigger bubble is protected, but there is a for-profit smaller bubbles that are around it that helps the transactional aspect of it. So then that will be the best solution. And AI has that. I think you guys are something you are on the right track, because AI has the potential to be owned by 4 or 5 companies right now, like the way things are going, because the amount of money required is humongous. I mean, just to get it going. So that can only be a collective effort, cannot be like even small companies don't have that muscle to do that. And then when you have 3 or 4 people controlling something, you know what happens, right? So I think it's the
You know
right
what
mission. So
happened?
yeah. You're reminding me of Solaris and Linux. I was using Solaris. I was like, so Linux was like a fresh of breath air, right? So same thing, AI
Yeah.
can be done, but it cannot be just a holistic in a bubble. There have to be bubbles attached that are for profit around it. Then it will be successful. Yeah.
And we've got history as our teacher, so the industry's been through these cycles before. At least the computer industry, the entire economy has also been through this cycle before, exactly a century ago, when the US economy was controlled by a half a dozen corporations. And you don't have to be a historian to know what happened at the end of the 20s. So, like in the board game Monopoly, when one person owns all the wealth, it's game over. We're just trying to avert the game over scenario. And in the board game Monopoly, when we sense that happening, we adopt altruistic interventions. We say, Faisal, here, look after these properties for me, and manage them. Or here's another $500 to keep playing. So these are the altruistic interventions that are not in the rules. They're not in the rules of capitalism. And it takes organizations like Kwaai and other nonprofits to mount these altruistic interventions to make the game go longer. We don't want to destroy the board. We just want the game to go longer. Okay, so we've been ranting on here. We are actively trying to figure out how to create a vehicle to be deliberate about seeding the investments in the for-profit entities, in the startups that are going to be category defining startups in the area of personal AI. And we'd love your help and your counsel on that. Thank you so much, Faisal. I'm going to open it up for questions from the audience. As usual, put your hand up and then we can go.
I know Steve had a comment. Oh, Zach, please
Zachary,
go.
off you go.
You know, I always have a comment. So first of all, thank you, Faisal. I live here in San Diego. I attended TechCon last year, and I found it to be a very invigorating and enriching experience, and very needed in San Diego. So it was quite awesome, and I'm looking forward to this next cycle. My main question to you is, and it's sort of investment, it's sort of TechCon, it's sort of probably connections in your network, but what do you see as the most significant developments in AI for 2025 and beyond? Like, what is your network, your information, your knowledge, the startups you're seeing? What do you think the most significant developments are going to be?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Zach, I think the way things are, whatever I say right now, 2 months down the road, we'll have another Kwaai meeting and it will be a different answer. So the problem is that it's a very fast-pacing domain right now. And I'll give you an example, like, when OpenAI came out 2.5 years ago, AI have been around. Like when I joined, I'll give you a very funny example. When I was, at my previous employer, I was presenting, we started using AI 5 years ago, and it wasn't generative AI, it was, deep neural networks and really state of the art at that time. And I was presenting every board meeting that, look, we work with Mayo Clinic and we can detect this, right? And it's all AI, and there was nothing, and then when OpenAI came out, and then I was asked, what's your AI strategy? And I was like, it has been presented for the last 3 years, right? I mean, so what I'm trying to get to is that the AI is like something that it took 50 years in the making, and now it's in a steroids right now. Like it's moving so fast, it's like a beast, or it's like that nobody can predict, agents and, RAGs, and you can talk about things. I think the key would be what is a business, what is a sustainable business that you can build on top of AI? You can build demos on top of AI. I can, really cook up something very fast. Their tools are amazing and a solution. But is that a company? Is it a business? The companies that will be, and it's very much like cloud. Take anything that's been there. At the end, you'll have, 2 or 3 standing, the big guys, and then the rest would be just, disappear. So that's where the hard part is, that where should you invest, where should you focus? And it's so fast, changing fast, that you cannot predict anything. Like, so AI agents, and you can go over and over. But at the end, what I've seen right now is a lot of great demos, but those companies are still not able to raise money because the business is not there. If you're building everything on APIs provided by Anthropic or OpenAI, I mean, that's great, but it's, there's not much, right? So you remember like the taker, shaper, maker model. The makers are the ones that are really the actual innovation is happening there, right? But that requires tons of cash burning every second, right? And not everyone can afford it. So I will say the best solution of AI would be the shapers. Shapers, what I mean is that models will be commodity, data will be the gold. So what I will say is that if you're training on public data, anybody can do that right now. Anybody, right? I mean, that's not a thing. But if you have a unique data that not everyone has that, and that you use to train a public model or a commodity model, it's just a thing you train, that's gold. Because that data becomes the gold, not the models, not the GPUs, not the, so that's my theory, that the more unique data, and there are companies that are sitting on gold mine. They have data that nobody in the world has that, right? But they don't realize what they're sitting on, right?
Yeah.
So that data can give you insights on your consumers. It can create new business offerings for your customers. So think of it as models as commodity. Somebody's building cool tools for you. Sure. I mean, you don't write Python, you wrote TensorFlow. You just use it as a tool, write something on top of it, right? So those are the things that they are providing, Linux and all. But what you're doing is to, I think, focus on data. And then the second thing would be scaling. What you can show for one person, can you show for 1,000, 10,000, and 10 million?
Right.
That's where a lot of these companies fail. You can show it for a small demo, you can show it for a few thousand people, but then either the economy or the mechanics of the system doesn't work, or the technology doesn't scale, like what you build on top of other people's infrastructure. So I think that will be the key. Like, identify a business problem, identify if there's unique data or unique things around it, and then build a solution. Again, this is my perspective. I won't think I'm a guru in this space, but what I, based on the 5 years that I've worked on AI for the previously, that, I'm using that as a reference.
I'm sure you're a guru. Thank you so much for your perspective. And our mantra, or at least my mantra, is data as currency.
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, look, on that note, let's switch over to Myra. I want to thank Faisal. Myra, why don't you do the hard task of getting us back onto track and getting over the rest of our agenda.
Yep.
Faisal, I look forward to seeing you next week in San Diego. Thanks.
I'll make sure I check out the videos. So thanks for that link too. So we are moving on to work group updates, I believe. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. Maybe we want to start with the...
Yeah, so I'd like Jim to talk about the progress we're making on the summit in terms of sponsorship. What's the good news, Jim?
Yeah, exactly. So the good news is we have sponsors. We have sponsors signed up. So we've got, I think, 3 committed sponsors at this point. And so that's exciting. Of course, we need more. Just to provide some context, this to what Reza was saying earlier, we've got 4 areas for sponsorship, right? The hackathon has sponsorship opportunities. The symposium has sponsorship opportunities. And then the networking events, the Kwaai networking event and the investor networking event. So anyone who has a company that might want to put its brand out there in front of the Scale community and the symposium should be thinking about, oh, how do I, sponsor and get my company to sponsor at scale with Kwaai. So the Reza's already posted the summit link in the chat. There's anyone can find me on Slack. I'm happy to, take any warm introduction to go kind of work the sales part of the motion, so to speak, to go encourage people and explain the value they can accrue when they sponsor us.
Well, shout out to Richard Witt. He's our anchor tenant. He's our first sponsor, and he took a big chunk. So it was good to see that coming through. The author of Reweaving the Web, and so we will be announcing. We'll start sort of a thunder roll of marketing and messaging over the next 2 months to drum up support, but. Look, the way in which this happens, it's two ways. It's fishing, but not fishing with a PH. It's like trawling. There's outbound campaigns going largely through LinkedIn. But we also need to do the spear fishing, those one-on-one connections that we have with the three personas that we're going after. One is the developer community manager in a corporation that's building software, a software platform, and they want to get that platform in front of a manager. One of the case studies is a company called Snyk, SNYK. That was a spear phishing. That was a warm introduction from Matt Small. I know Matt's not on the call. And then we translated that into a platinum sponsorship. And that's sort of in the funnel at the moment. Companies like that who want to get in front of a developer community, those are great opportunities. So if you know any development managers, developer community managers, pass them to Jim. Jim will do the rest. Yeah, a warm introduction really helps. He knows how to convert those. The other persona we're going after is AI executives. So that's a bigger pool of folks, and we would invite them to become. Maybe they want a speaking slot, and so there's sponsorship opportunities. And then the third persona is the investor. It's a VC. It's the VC community, and we're having a specific investor mixer. They can participate there, but they can also participate in the hackathon. Kwaai represents deal flow to the investor community, and can access those deals at the end of a sort of validation process. And they could be judges. There's a Shark Tank type of celebrity judging panel at the end of the hackathon. Great. Okay. Thank you so much, Jim. Thanks for that first success. Great. What was next on the? I was hoping John Connors would be on, but he's not. So we would talk about the hackathon. Look, I mentioned that already. I was really encouraged this morning by the passion and the energy shown in the product management group. Greg, thank you so much for your leadership in getting that group, that sort of chat shop of product ideators and product visionaries, to actually get them into some rigorous process. And now you've got a 76-page document. Maybe you can say a few words from that, but I'm going to ask that in a couple of weeks that your team makes a presentation on what the vision is for the next generation product. Okay, Greg, off you go.
Yes, we'd be happy to do that in a couple of weeks, like you said. Luckily, it's easy to lead a group of people who are passionate and know what they're doing. I'm not actually leading, they're just kind of nudging me forward. So it looks like I'm leading. So that they make it really easy. We are happy to announce that we have an MVP spec. We have user stories that are ready for review from the technical team. Please reach out to me and I will set aside some time so we can go over that together. And we would love to hear your feedback. I'm sure we've approached this from a product standpoint. So we would love technical feedback on that. So Slack me, and my name is Greg Spector, and you can set up some time with me, hopefully.
I'm going to ask
Thank you.
Patricia to speak briefly, and I know everyone was on break, but tell us what your thoughts are and the progress from on the PiOS front.
Yes. Well, I'm happy to say that, we're gearing back up to speed. Like you said, the last month has been very, very quiet for understandable reasons. There were two, implementations that landed this week. Robert Binning and Sanu Dutta have completed the role-based access control. And I've completed the common interface for all the LLMs. So these will get merged into PiOS, and then we can hopefully, leverage them in the Pi Assistant work. But I'm very excited to hear that, that something is coming, from Greg and his team. So the timing couldn't be better, because we'll be looking for, what's next for our MVP. So wonderful.
Fantastic. Okay, look, we should open up for new member voices, but I'd like to hear from Liam Brozo, who's just fresh back from CES, where he unveiled his latest innovation. Liam, are you ready to speak? I've got him. I've put him on. He had no idea I'd call on him. Okay. Well, Liam, once you get ready, we'd love to hear from you. Any other voices, folks that we've not heard from in a while, or those that we have heard from? I don't mind.
Yep, please put your hands up.
And Randall Fahey, thank you so much for being a super connector for us and being a champion for Kwaai. What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Oh, just got back from CES. It was a bit crazy because of a lot of the factors you've already mentioned.
Yes.
Between the storms and the fires. And I thought attendance was less than I expected, but still the right people were there. So it was still pretty busy. Otherwise,
a new year, are you preparing for, you're in Canada, aren't you?
no, I'm in Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley. Okay. That's right. Okay. It was your other colleagues that are up in Canada. Okay. Alvin, let's hear from you. You recommended, did Doc send you, or Ira sent you?
Ira sent me, fellow change agent, a gentleman that I've known 35 plus years. So it means a lot for him to bring me in this room. I've had some really good conversations with him over the years, and what he has shared about this group, he did not oversell it. So I appreciate being in this room. I am from a different sector, so a lot of terminology and concepts, just been very informative, very learned a lot. Even just a simple concept of deal flow. I had to Google, what does deal flow mean, right? And so I am originally out of New York City, but I've been in Atlanta 33 years. And my life in Atlanta has been about improving really the community, but from a perspective of from nonprofits, school districts, universities, from a data outcome measurement, helping organizations measure their outcomes and improve programs. Currently, I'm at the United Way of Greater Atlanta. And so my role here is about helping organizations, our community, understand where the communities of greatest need. And so I like to, when I get up in front of crowds, I like to say that I am really here representing, and I think it speaks here as well. I'm here representing the aspirations and dreams of the 96% of the children in Atlanta who the statistics say if they are born poor, they will die poor. And so what I really appreciate about where this group is headed, in my opinion, is offering them a vehicle to confront the systems and the failings of this ecosystem. And so I am honored to be in this room, but more importantly, encouraged by being in this room with this idea that we can steer this in a way that is good for all, or at least many. So that's who I am.
Thank you for joining. Did you sign up on our Kwaai page? I'd love to give you a tour of all our work groups. And
I have not. I just clicked on a Zoom link and bam, here I am.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, look, this is lovely. I wonder, Myra, if you can post the coordinates of the
doing it.
Yeah, of the idea exchange. Michael Grossman doesn't like me calling it an after party, but it's kind of the meeting after the meeting. It's where we digest the issues. We dive deeper into one or two issues, just because we can't say goodbye. Michael, what's new in your world?
Oh, not much. I just thought hearing my name invoked, I should be on here. I'm just preparing some lunch here in New York.
Fantastic. Okay, well, stay warm. I see you've got a t-shirt on. You must have the heating on in the house. Okay. Well, thanks so much, everybody. This is always an energizing meeting. It's the highlight of my week, and I appreciate all of your participation. We're going to move on to the after party, the happy hour, the idea exchange next. The Zoom link is in the chat if you want to come. And I look forward to seeing those of you that are going to be in TechCon SoCal in San Diego next week. Look forward to seeing you there. Happy Friday, happy Kwaai Day. Have a good weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Alvin, I sent you
Thank
the
you,
link.
everyone.
I saw it. I'm signing up. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a good weekend.